Hello and welcome to Tracy Mommy Reads. I am back with another book review. I'm so excited to talk about this book today. I know in a previous video I mentioned that I would be doing a review of Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart, and I am still digesting that one. Still kind of flipping through, highlighting, and I wanted to watch. She has a special on HBO Max that kind of ties into the book. So I want to watch that. So that's going to be put on the back burner until I can kind of fully get it into a way, digest it in a way that I can articulate it and finish it up. But a book that I did read, like that I just devoured in a day, I'm going to talk about that today. And it is called Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. Rock, Paper, Scissors. Okay. I don't even know where to start with this book. Let me get my notes from over here. So this book is a suspense book. You know, me and these suspense books. This is my first book by Alice Feeney. So I guess that is her genre, and she's, amassed fans of her work, all over. But this was my first book, and I was not disappointed. I mean, the book from just the onset, it grabbed me, and like she's a tease because she leaves like these cliffhangers at the end of the chapters, and you're like, no, what happens, and you keep reading looking for that stopping point that never comes until you almost get to the end of the book, because there's just so much going on. In a nutshell, what this book is about, there's this couple, they're having problems, they've been married about a decade, and they decide they're going to take a weekend trip away, to Scotland or the mountains or somewhere. I think it was in Scotland, the Highlands or something like that. And, this is like a last-ditch effort to save their marriage. And running parallel with the story, it's 2 points of view from the husband, Adam, and his wife, Amelia. And in between there are some chapters where the wife has started to write letters to her husband every anniversary, right? And you know how the anniversaries are commemorated by a particular thing, like I think the first year's paper, there's tin, copper, those are the symbols for that particular wedding anniversary year. So those chapters were titled with whatever the year was, like if they were in their second year of marriage, a third year, whatever the gift would be for that year. That's what those chapters were called. And then the chapters where we have the point of view of the husband and the point of view of the wife, it had their names. So we get like some flashbacks and insight into their marriage through the letters, basically, because they were happening, even though they were flashbacks, it was more real time. In the present day, it's more recollections of kind of what happened, and you're trying to piece everything together. And I am trying so hard, y'all, not to do any spoilers. But so it is clear from the onset when they get to this place that Amelia has mysteriously won a weekend away for two through a drawing or a raffle or something that she doesn't even really remember doing. But she decides, it's a free trip, it's a beautiful landscape, it's far away from everything and everyone. We're going to go. It's in the middle of a bad snowstorm, and it's at night. And they have brought their dog along, I guess it's protection or whatever, just because he's kind of like their son. They didn't want to leave him at home. But there's all kind of weird and spooky type things happening here at this chapel. Doors locking and unlocking, lights going in and out. Which that can be explained by the weather, I suppose. But it's just creepy. It's dusty for the most part, but the room where they're going to be staying is like spotless and, kind of reminiscent of the room they have at home. And it's just all these things that are kind of like making the hair on the back of your neck rise, because you're just like, yeah, this is not, they shouldn't have went there. And the characters they feel it too, but it's like late, it's already storming, so they have no choice but to go ahead and kind of settle in for the night and just get creepier as the night goes on. And as each of them kind of tell their story, you also start to wonder, okay, because there's a line in the story in both of their points of view, where they kind of allude to, this may be our last time together, or one of us isn't going to make it back home, that kind of thing. So you're like, okay, somebody brought somebody out here to kill them. What is going on? And I'm just guessing all throughout, like, trying to say, okay, no, Adam, he knows what's going on. He's been in that house. Or, oh no, Amelia set this whole thing up. And then there's like some random woman that gets thrown in the mix who kind of lives in that town, and she's kind of creepy. And, I'm thinking, oh, that had something to do with his past, or, oh no, that's probably somebody. It was just one of those things where you just keep guessing and all of your guesses are wrong. The writing in this book, it's so good. You could tell the author is very quick-witted, and there are I highlighted a lot of stuff because it's a lot of quotable type stuff in the book, even though it's a fiction book, and things that give you your own epiphanies, if you've been in a marriage, for any length of time, and it gives you a perspective where you're like, I never thought of it like that, or I never thought that maybe things that I was doing was perceived like that. So it's just packed with all kind of stuff, like mystery, suspense. There's some stuff to make you go, and actually think about. But more than anything, the way that she sets this story up so that when the actual twist or moment that you're like, what is going on, when you find out what is actually happening. Like, I actually was like, because I had been reading the book all day, and then when I got in bed, I was going to read like another chapter. I was just going to read one more chapter before I went to bed. And when the twist came, I was kind of like slouched down, laying in the bed. I like immediately sat up and went, wait a minute, what? And I had to like go back to the previous chapter to see, like, what? I'm still like thinking about it, going, what? And then I like flip back through some more chapters to see like, how did I miss that? And it wasn't one of those things where, how like some authors, maybe they just drop a bomb and there were never any breadcrumbs or never anything that would have suggested that that's a true ending. No, not in this case. It was there from the very beginning. And because I had chosen to go down my own rabbit hole thinking that something else was going on, she was able to pull the wool over my eyes. I will say that she did choose to use a convenient, some people may think contrite, but either way, it was also clever. Yeah, I got all the alliteration today. But the husband, Adam, he had this condition called prosopagnosia. And basically what it is, I'm going to read what that is. Prosopagnosia. It's like an actual thing. And it is a neurological disorder characterized by the inability to recognize faces. So from the way that her character in the book had it, it's like he could make out anything else. He wasn't like blind. Like he could see a pattern on a shirt. He could see, the stars in the sky. He could see with detail in mostly everything around him except someone's face. It just kind of blurred together. And they kind of described it like seeing a Van Gogh painting where it looks like stuff starts to melt or whatever. So there was even like a part in the book where his wife had accompanied him to a party so that she could like kind of be his eyes. So she would tell him, oh, okay, so-and-so's about to come and talk to you. Because if he didn't recognize their voice and someone came to talk to him, like he had no idea who he was talking to. And he even talked about how he hated meeting her at restaurants because, unless she gave him a signal, he wouldn't even recognize his own wife's face. He knows her voice, he knows her smell, he knows her, because of her personality, her quirks, but like to see her face, it just blends in, he could tell her hairstyle and stuff like that. So that's just so wild to me that's first of all, I'd never heard of that before I read the book. But when, you start reading it, you don't realize how important that piece of information is going to become until you get towards the end, because she didn't like spend a lot of time, you know, like in some books, if someone, you know, has some kind of condition or they have like a handicap or whatever, and the author may just constantly tell you, oh, because you know he was an amputee. Because he was an amputee. She mentioned that maybe once or twice, the actual name, and then she just kind of used it in her writing, you know, like there was a scene where he said that, you know, he could tell by his wife's tone she was mad, but when he looked at her face, he didn't have any proof of that because he couldn't see her expression. You know, she just kind of made you feel like, oh, that's just something that he's dealing with. And it just became so secondary that you just kind of dismissed it, you know, but like I said, it became pretty key towards the end to understanding how certain events were able to unfold. So, and that's the other thing. There were so many things happening and everything was kind of revealed back to back to back. So it's like you couldn't even catch your breath at the end. And then she had to me, like the last chapter, I mean, it could have like, you know, she could have left that out, but you know, it's kind of like when you're watching a lot of the superhero movies that have like the end credit scenes that kind of just leave you going, you know, like, oh, that's what's going to come up. Or, oh, somebody's going to find out about that. Oh, this is good. That's what I felt like the very last chapter of the book was. It was kind of connected to them, but their story had already wrapped up. This was like another person that got introduced that kind of was like, you know, omniscient throughout this whole process. But yeah, and I was pleased with the ending. I mean, let's call a spade though. Psychopaths, for sure. In the end, they were both psychopaths, but hey, sometimes, you know, you can't beat them, join them. And maybe they deserved each other. So a lot of people, you know, I read some reviews and people were like, oh, that ending and this and that. But for the first time, I'm kind of like, hey, it is what it is, you know. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. That was a good book. I can definitely see this playing out. I can definitely see this one playing out like on a Netflix, you know, limited series or something like that. It would not surprise me, and I would definitely tune in. So if you have not read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, you should definitely check it out. If you have read Rock, Paper, Scissors, I want to know what you thought about that twist, or when everything was revealed. Did you see it coming, or were you surprised like I was? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much to all my new subscribers, and I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. See you next week. Bye.